Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielsen and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
Happy Tuesday, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Lock Shop, brought to you once again by our friends at Coolbet. Sign up for an account today. Just go to coolbet.com, enter the bonus code LOCKSHOP, all one word. You get a 100% deposit bonus on initial deposit up to $200. Nielsen and Hustler with you once again. Huge thank you to all of our regular viewers, Gitch, CJ Beck, Calvin Ridley. We really appreciate you all popping by today. How you doing, buddy?
Better than Calvin Ridley, I'll tell you that much. It has been, listen, crazy 24 hours in the gambling space, that's for sure. Players Championship coming up this week. Very fired up for that. Lots going on. But, man, this Ridley story from yesterday is just absolutely bananas. He bet 15 hun and lost 11.1 million. That, my friends, is not a good bet.
We've all had bad beats, but that one might be the worst. What did he say? He didn't deny it. He said, "Man, I'm getting a year for this. I bet $1,500. It was he wasn't playing at the time. It was a 3-game parlay, a 5-game parlay, and an 8-game parlay." I was just like, 8-game parlay. Come on, what are we doing? Come on, Calvin Ridley. This is in the CBA. Like, you can't do this, right? But for me, it's I guess maybe because the league is so driven. Like, the NFL isn't what it is if you can't bet on it. I mean, the NFL is a monster because of sports betting. And I'm a little, maybe it's just because I love betting, but if you're not betting on games that you're playing in or you're betting against your team, I mean, I really don't care if Calvin Ridley bets on the Bears and Packers, but I know it's in the rules. I wonder if,
well, do you
think there's any way he appeals this thing or what?
He'll be lucky to get back the following year. They're not screwing around with this, man. I mean, it could not be explained to them in more hard and serious terms that you cannot bet on football. I'm pretty sure that they're encouraged or told not to bet on anything, to be perfectly honest with you. But I mean, if a guy's putting down a hockey parlay or something like that, I don't think he's going to be getting in trouble. But I mean, the fact of the matter is you have NFL players betting on their own teams. And I mean, it's one thing you say, oh, you just bet them to win. Yeah. Well, what if they're betting the spread? I mean, the integrity.
Good point on the spread.
If the integrity of the game is.
But you don't think these guys are finding a way to bet anyway, Huss, through a guy in their entourage and stuff? Like, it's happening. It has to be happening. They got tons of money. I would be shocked if it's not happening around the league. Like, Calvin Ridley used his own email out of state. Like, come on, man.
Opened up his Calvin Ridley, I play for the Falcons at gmail.com. And, we'll put that in and then bet from that account. Hey, what can I say? It is, it's unfortunate. And I guess the good thing for him is that he doesn't seem, at least right now, that he was really deep into it. But the matter of fact is that, this is an absolute no-no. Talk to any former pro player and just ask them about, hey, at the start of the year, what did the team ops people tell you about gambling? And they'll say, like, even I heard O-Dog yesterday talking about her, and he said, I had someone would say, hey, hey, they'll just say, how's Ron Francis feeling today? You think he's going to be back? Was he, do you think he might have a good game tonight? And he said, never ask me that again. Anything even remotely close, because, the guys that get it, get the heebie-jeebies and realize that nothing positive can come out of this. So, listen, as the gambling space grows and all these leagues get into bed with gambling operations and stuff, it's more important than ever to make sure that the players are not in on it, because that's the one way that you can really, screw with the integrity of the game. And that, affects on a gambling side of things. But the second people think that there's more to what you're seeing than what you're watching on television or showing up, you can lose fans very, very quickly. And we've seen some of the biggest scandals in sports history around gambling. So, Calvin Ridley, you are taking a huge L, my friend. I don't know how much that 8-game parlay was worth if it cashed, but I guarantee it wasn't $11 million.
No, I don't think it would have been $11 million. Do you think Chris Jones already has him on his neg list for the upcoming CFL season or what?
Oh. Well, you know what? I mean, wait a sec. If guys are suspended, they can't come back up here, right? I mean, that was remember Ricky Williams? Ricky was busted for smoking weed and was off for a week.
But didn't he come here after that?
He came here before that. After Ricky was here, then they changed the rule. Now, again, maybe this was just to do with conduct and drug scandals. But put it this way. I don't think Randy Ambrosie is going to be rolling out the red carpet for Calvin Ridley after what just happened. So, and hey, just as an aside, what does this mean for the Falcons? I mean, there have already been rumors that maybe Matt Ryan might be on the move and they would be considering, moving him. I would have to think that without their number one receiver and realizing that, Ryan's definitely on the back nine of his career, maybe they sort of move more quickly as to turning that thing around because it does sort of seem you got to feel for Arthur Smith right now. They had missed Ridley for a good portion of last season. And now a self-inflicted 1-year ban from the National Football League.
Yeah, Kyle Pitts fantasy stock, Russell Gage fantasy stock. That's really all I care about. I mean, that'll probably go up here with Calvin Ridley out, assuming Matt Ryan does stay. All right, so that's the latest on Matt Ryan. Hey, do you want to say anything about Aaron Rodgers and his $200 million before we move along here or what?
Well, you know what? I mean, listen, I saw leave it to Aaron Rodgers, just being the selfish drama queen that he is, to go and, completely try to suck all the air out of International Women's Day by making it all about him and signing a $200 million 4-year extension. Hey, listen, quarterback play, we know what it's worth in the National Football League. The guy is the back-to-back 2-time MVP. Or reigning MVP for the last 2 seasons. So, in the NFL's marketplace, he's worth it. And while it's typical Rodgers to make everyone, wait on bated breath with what he's been doing for the last little while because he loves the attention, I do feel good for the Cheeseheads. I mean, the Packer fan base is amazing. And they've been spoiled, too, going from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. But if all of a sudden Aaron Rodgers is out and it's Jordan Love time, I mean, heck, the people that I feel sorry for are Lions fans, Bears fans, and Viking fans, because you can pretty much, start putting together a 5-year plan right now to be somewhere when Aaron Rodgers' contract is over. And what happens?
Huge shout out to Jordan Love for being backup for 6 years, I guess, eh?
Well, we'll see. I mean, I don't know if there's any takers. I mean, that's the one thing that really stunk for the Packers was that, he played so badly in that game against the Chiefs this year, and you don't have very many
put some tape together,
to showcase the guy. So I don't know what sort of interest there is elsewhere in and around the league. But yeah, you're right. I mean, maybe he does just become a backup for the next 6 years or another 4 years.
Guess they should have drafted a receiver, like everybody said.
Well, okay, that is the most damning thing about it all. And when you think about how close the Packers were that year and what they were missing, not to mention the fact that Justin Jefferson's doing what he's doing in the division against their biggest rival, that was a huge whiff. And again, I don't know what went into that decision, but the bottom line is the Packers got Rodgers for another 4 years. They'll win 13. They'll go 13-3 for the next few seasons and get whooped by the Niners. Worked by the Niners at some point when they play them in the playoffs.
All right, let's get to we're going to have Huss betting the Brier in a bit. We're going to give you our picks for the Players' Championship. But let's start with a little NHL action tonight. A couple of huge parlays if we hit them, but I think we've all got some games here that you can just bet individually and find some value tonight as well, Huss. So where are you going, buddy?
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm going to start off with this Florida game. And, normally when, and I've kind of been on this the last little bit, teams that have played the night before, I'm sort of trying to fade them. I'm going to go in the opposite direction here. Pittsburgh, if you look at their season record, has been really, really streaky. They'll win 4 in a row, 5 in a row, 3 in a row, 4 in a row. But when they lose that first game, they don't just lose one and then get back to winning. They've usually had a little bit of a hiccup of 2 or 3 or more games. So the fact that they're coming off a loss, they're at home to a Florida team that is all of a sudden red hot and scoring half a dozen a night. And I think this is the sort of spot that I would normally look at Pittsburgh. But it was interesting. I mean, this number, when I first looked at it last night, was minus 105 and minus 115. And we're already seeing it essentially a pick 'em right now with the Florida Panthers. Bottom line is the Panthers right now, after, a little bit of a blip at home when they lost those 3 games in a row, including, I believe, one to the Oilers, they seem to be back as the offensive powerhouse that has been tormenting teams throughout the year. And, I sort of like this spot for them to go in and beat Pittsburgh on the road as as essentially a road dog, road favorite. It's a pick 'em right now, basically at minus 109. I'm going to start off there. Then we've got Vegas. Listen, this is as much a bet against Philadelphia than anything. I mean, if you can get any team at less than minus 200 to beat the Philadelphia Flyers on a money line bet, you pretty much have to take it. I mean, this team lost 10 in a row. Then they lost 12 in a row. They won in overtime. They beat the Jets embarrassingly in regulation and then rattle off another 6 straight losses. I mean, it is over for the Philadelphia Flyers. And Vegas is showing some signs of life, despite the fact that, they're still dealing with a ton of injuries. And these are huge games for Vegas. I mean, they've sort of moonwalked back into the periphery of being out of the playoffs right now. So I know there's teams like the Jets and Oilers that would love to see Philly get it done tonight. I don't think it's happening. Give me Vegas right now at minus 175 on that game. And then the other game that I'm liking, and this number's actually gone back up. I should say, I mean, if you tell me that Shesterkin is not starting tonight, that
Different
could
story,
possibly change how I'm feeling. And maybe we'll look at that right now. Last night, it was open at about 130, it went to 124, and now it looks like it's at plus 143. But this is a bet. The Minnesota Wild are struggling right now. I mean, they are letting in so many goals per game. I mean, 4, 5, 6 a game right now. And I got to tell you, we just got a chance to watch the Rangers on Sunday night. And I know if you just saw the box score, it looked like the Jets had 46 shots and we're all over them. I mean, none of it was really the sort of quality that you need to beat a goaltender like Ilya Shesterkin. And listen, he's not just now in the Vezina conversation. He is in the Hart Trophy conversation. And I did see some people online that were getting him at about 16-1, 4-6 weeks ago. He's now down under 5-1. And, what an incredible season he's had. So, those numbers will change somewhat right now. Let me just give you a quick update on that parlay if you do want to get on it. Florida, Vegas, and the Rangers. It's actually up to plus 632. A big part of that is because the Rangers are at plus 143. So yeah, looking at that, I mean, as I say, I do like Vegas to win. I think this Florida-Pittsburgh game is going to be tough, but I'm just feeling that the Florida Panthers can keep on rolling the way they are. I mean, they put up 6 against the Sabres, 6 against the Red Wings, a shutout against the Sens, and that was coming off that sort of rough week at home where they actually lost 3 games for the first time all season. But other than that, when they're winning in bunches, 4 games, 5 games in a row. I do like that. And I'll just confirm the goaltending for the Rangers while you get into your picks and make sure we're not telling people to back a Rangers team on the road without the guy that's their most important player.
So all 3 of my games tonight, I'll be playing individually. They ended up to be a plus 724 parlay. And you chime in a little bit here on the Winnipeg if you want, but I'm on Tampa Bay in regulation, minus 102. Anybody watching all of the Hustlerites, as we call them here in Edmonton and in Winnipeg watching, you guys know the story with Winnipeg. It looked like, a couple of games there, maybe they got it going. It hasn't been the case as of late. Tampa's won 7 of their last 8, 5-1 loss to Pittsburgh, their only loss over the last 3 weeks. So I'm going to go with one of my regulation plays there. I'm going to take Tampa in regulation, minus 102. Toronto, minus 1.5 at minus 108 against Seattle. The 2 teams met in February. Toronto ended up winning that game 6-2. Seattle has only 1 win in their last 10 games. This is full-blown expansion mode. With the way that Toronto's been playing as of late, and it's been hit and miss, especially with their goaltending, I think Toronto's due to put it on cruise control for a game here. I think it happens tonight. I love the fact that you're getting it at minus 108 with Toronto here to win by 2 or more. And then my third play of the day is kind of a spot play here. Like, Calgary's playing their 4th game in 5 days. They went back-to-back, day off, and now they're in a back-to-back situation again. They played last night. Markstrom's not going to go tonight. Washington has only played 5 games in like their last 20 days. And they're coming off back-to-back wins. They've outscored the opposition 9-2 in the last 2 games. And I know Washington started really hot, and they haven't been good as of late. But, they've had some rests here now. They've put together a couple of wins. They get Calgary at the tail end of a 4-5 stretch. You're getting them at plus 116 on the money line as a dog. So I'm going to make a play here on Washington. They are in Edmonton tomorrow night, so they'll be on the second half of back-to-back against a struggling Oilers team. But I don't go with a lot of dogs usually in these plays. I try to play it safe for the most part, but I like Washington plus 116 here as a money line underdog at Calgary. And if you parlay them all together, which I will certainly do as well, plus 724 tonight for this one to hit. So I'm thinking I'll hit at least 2 of these 3. If I hit all 3, I'm laughing. If I hit 2, I'm still up anyway, Huss. I like this card a lot tonight, actually.
Yeah, there's some really good games. I mean, plenty of options for us to decide where we want to go. Quick update. Yeah, the reason why that Ranger line has just moved is that in the last half hour or whatever, they've announced that Georgiev is going to be playing. Yeah. So if you do feel that you don't want in on the Rangers, I mean, those are the 2 picks that I do like. And the funny thing is, you just mentioned Washington. That was going to be the sort of the backup play on this. And, when you got it at minus 116, we've already seen that number come down to plus 108. So if you do take my first 2 picks, Vegas and Florida, and put them with the Caps, we're back in that area, plus 527 for the parlay.
Yeah, that line's moved in the last 30 minutes. Like, I just locked in at plus 116 in the last 30 minutes. So the line's already moved a little bit as well. So there you go. Let us know what you're playing tonight in the National Hockey League. You can hit us up in the comments section. If you have any questions, feel free to do that as well. Follow us on Twitter at LockShopBets. We got some golf picks coming up a little bit later on. But first, Huss bets the Brier. And I had a chance to watch Huss realize that he hit a 3-game parlay already this morning. And it was glorious, Huss. What a way to start the day.
You know what? This has been so much fun. I've had some really good success so far through the Brier. Early on, usually I'll go 3 matches, my 3 favorites on a 4-sheet draw. And listen, sometimes the numbers are so crazy. I mean, looking at this afternoon's draw, Canada's minus 33.33. The Dunstone rink is minus 10,000. Alberta's 1,000. So you're basically forced to jump on the rock lines. And what has been interesting is that early on, it was the underdogs that that we were making some money with. We were selecting, teams getting 4.5 or 5.5, and it was coming in, at 3 or 4, and you were covering. Well, over the last couple of days, and maybe it's because we were seeing some of the real top teams play the dregs of the field, but there's been some absolute massacres. Mike McEwen's Manitoba rink, dude, beat Nunavut yesterday, 18-1.
Oh,
I mean, I would imagine that has to be. I mean, I don't know. I'll lean on some Brier historians for this one, but I mean, I can't imagine a more lopsided game ever in curling at that level. I mean, that just doesn't make any sense. And they didn't do an 8-ender or anything like that either. It was just nonstop. So I went back, and this morning was actually all 3 favorites, covering rock lines of either 2.5 or, in Brad Jacobs' case, 4.5. So yeah, this afternoon, I'm liking Saskatchewan just on a money line. They're minus 125 against Ontario. We are going to lay the 5.5 points for Canada and Brendan Botcher's rink. They've looked really good so far. I think exceeding many people's expectations considering the season that they've had. I'm betting them to run UConn out of the rink. I will take the points, though, with PEI. They're going up against the Dunstone rink, and Dunstone has been awesome. Huge win over Kevin Cooey. But, man, 7 points is a big, big amount to win for. So, we'll see. Maybe they can keep it somewhat close and do that. So plus 529 on that parlay. And then for tonight, these lines have just come out. If you're listening to the Lock Shop a little later on, in the afternoon draw is already gone. I'm liking Manitoba, Mike McEwen against Gushu. Listen, there is part of me that wants to put a sprinkle on the money line at plus 315. They've played quite well after that early loss to Gunlickson. But at minus 154, getting 2.5 points, certainly like that option for Manitoba. So I'm locking that in at minus 154. We're going to take the Northwest Territories plus 4.5 against the Gunlickson rink at minus 4.5. And this is the thing about Gunner. You can make some of the best shots. He can beat anybody. but he can also lose to anyone like he did to Nova Scotia yesterday. Nova Scotia's had a good start, but I mean, they're not really thought of in that same class. So listen, I just think this will be a little closer. Our buddy Jamie Cooey's playing for Northwest Territories, so we'll back them plus 4.5. And then the final matchup, British Columbia, not good at all this year. Nova Scotia, you do have to lay the rock and a half to get minus 103, or if you like, you could just take them on the money line, and that'll come out to a plus 385 parlay on the money line. Or if you do want to take them to win by 2, it's plus 508. So, of course, the draw's coming up. They've got great specials as well. If you want to bet blank ends or total points for a whole draw, it's all over there at coolbet.com. But as we do this show live right now, you've still got 2 hours to get in on that afternoon draw with the parlay we just threw out, and the evening lines are already up.
Boom. Nobody bets the Brier better than our man Huss right here on the Lock Shop. Follow him on Twitter at Hustlerama if you don't already for some reason. Keep tabs on everything that's going on with the Brier. This says Honored Palmer Invitational at the top. I'll update that here quickly, but obviously we're transitioning to the Players Championship. Rory McIlroy let me down a little bit last week. I'm going to go back to him this week. We'll get to that in a second here, Huss. But as I update this Arnold Palmer Invitational, take me through your picks here for the Players Championship, buddy.
All right. Well, we're feeling the same. We're feeling the same guy, and I love this.
I couldn't get away. I could not get away.
And why would we? Why would we? And you know what? When we've been on good sides, this is going back to the playoffs, we have had some great success. So considering how close we've both been at times over the last little while, let's both dive into Colin Morikawa and get a big win. And by the way, this is a nice number right now because this opened at 15. He was the number 2 favorite just behind Jon Rahm. And for whatever reason today, it's up to 17. So,
why do you what is that reason? I was going to ask you that. Because when I went on it, and just a quick, we'll both get Morikawa out of the way, then we'll talk about other picks. Morikawa was my first. I hadn't even looked at your email yet. Then I go and see. I saw you're on Morikawa. In the past, maybe I've moved away from it, but I like him a lot. And then I saw the number actually move from the 15 down to the 17. And I'm wondering if I'm missing something here, Huss, or they're just getting money on everybody else. Like, what do you think's happening here?
You know what? It's well, I think probably there. See, this is the weird thing about the Players. It is such a crazy field that you'll find. Like, put it this way: Spieth right now at some books is as low as 12-1 to win the Masters. He's 54-1 to win the Players right now. The Brooks Koepka number, Dustin Johnson in and around 40-1. I mean, there's some huge numbers on guys that we normally don't ever see numbers that big. So I think, right off the bat, when the numbers came out, guys were jumping on the biggest value bets. And to be honest, I don't think they thought that Morikawa was that bet. Hell, Rory was at 22. And I mean, Rory was a guy that was right in the picks. I see you got him on your pick, so we can talk about that later on. But I just think that, maybe some people that aren't as in on Morikawa spent the first day right out of the gate betting the best numbers that they found, and they didn't think at a 15-1 on Morikawa was the number. So it's gone up a little bit. All I can tell you is this. Against any field, anywhere in the world, after he won the British Open last year, I am in on Morikawa anywhere, anytime, against anyone. And this course in particular is going to not just reward, but it is imperative that you're able to have great, accurate iron play. And it's also going to be imperative that you can drive the ball relatively accurately. And this is the thing. A lot of those guys that, sometimes rely on their length, it can really get away on them. And I trust Morikawa a lot more than I do most of the other guys at the top. So when it comes down to it, you talk about his putting, his complete game, the wins that he's already had before. It wouldn't at all surprise me if he was the one picking up that massive check at the end of Sunday afternoon back in Sawgrass.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things that jump off the page here. He had his debut at this event last year, finished T41, but also finished his final round with a 66. So maybe he figured it out. Maybe he got it going a little bit later on. You talked about how you have to be very accurate with your irons. He leads the tour in ball striking right now, par 4 scoring and adjusted scoring. And the last time he was out, he finished T2 at Riviera. So, I mean, there's not a lot to not like about Colin Morikawa. And you mentioned, big moments, the field, I mean, what we see, you got Tommy Fleetwood is 99-1. Like in a lot of other events we've been at, guys been in the plus 20 something. So it's a massive field. I don't think the field intimidates this guy by any stretch of the imagination. We've seen him win on some of the biggest stages. So Morikawa plus 1,700. I thought about, maybe I'll find somebody else, but I said, no, screw it. We both haven't been on a guy yet this year in any event, so we're on Colin Morikawa, the official lock shop play at the Players Championship. What else you got?
Yeah, this could be the lock shop play of the year if it comes through. I mean, I don't think we've ever been on the same guy in a tournament, so let's get it done this week. And I'm going to my guy Brooks. This is somewhat of a value bet, but I think he's being completely overlooked. Now, honestly, when I first got in at 34, I did see a couple 39s out there. That was sort of an auto bet almost for me. At 29-1 in this field, maybe isn't quite as automatic, but I'll tell you what, I still feel good about this. I mean, listen, he missed a couple cuts earlier this year, but man, he almost won Phoenix. He was right there, and Brooks Koepka, Florida dude. I mean, he has had some strong performances here before, and when he gets dialed in, he can beat anyone. We've seen him before. It seems like he's been close so far this season. It just hasn't all come together. And listen, we always hear him talk about majors. This is about the closest thing to a major. And maybe more importantly for a guy like Brooks, it has the check of a major. So I think Brooks is going to be in this tournament. And I'll be honest, I really like this number. Again, maybe this will go back up depending on what happens after the move. But at 34-1, even at 29-1, I got a lot of confidence that Brooks Koepka is going to be in the mix on Sunday afternoon. And, listen, I did a personal sprinkle on Willie Zalatoris at 49-1. I think that number probably should be better. But
I almost put him in here. I was going to bring up Zalatoris because I'm going through. I looked at Adam Scott. I looked at Zalatoris. Didn't Zalatoris, he fired a 79 on Sunday, didn't he? It kind of scared me a little bit that maybe he lost something. But I almost took him just for you, buddy.
Well, we're off the scent. The one thing I'll say this about Will Zalatoris is when he's on, he's a ball striker at a level near Morikawa. I mean, like that good. I mean, that's totally what you need at the Players. You got to have some putts going in. So that was a guy I sort of like. But I mean, I couldn't help but look at Tommy Fleetwood to see this number at 99-1. I mean, he's a guy that's had some strong performances there before. Overall, I think he's sort of been up and down so far this season. But in an event where, it really is the best, we've seen Tommy, if you want to compare it to some of the major championships, I mean, Tommy Fleetwood's been one of the most consistent players in the majors over the last couple seasons. So to hang a 99-1 on Tommy Fleetwood, pretty hard not to throw 10 or 15 on that and hope that, he's in the mix as well. But Morikawa is the guy I like the most. Brooks Koepka, a very short behind him. And obviously Brooks at 2-1, as opposed to the number on Morikawa, made it a little bit more enticing to bet right out of the gate.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Vic Hovland. He's at 20-1 here, plus 2,000. Made his debut at the event last year, missed the cut. So, course history might not be in his favor here. But listen to this guy. In his last 6 starts worldwide, 2 wins, a T2, and 2 T4s in his last 6 starts worldwide. Like, there might not be anybody playing better than Vic Hovland has been playing over the last couple of months, let's say. So you're getting him at 20-1. So I'm going to go with Vic here. And then I'm going back to Rory. Rory obviously played very well in the first half last weekend. And then, fell off drastically after that, finished T13, I think. Last year, he won this event in 2019. Last year, I think he missed the cut by like 10 strokes. Like, he completely fell apart last year at this event. But I also believe last year coming in, it was like his 4th event in 4 weeks. So he might have been a little bit tired, might have a little bit golfed out at that point. Not the case this year. Hasn't been playing a lot lately. Played well for good stretches last week as well. So I think maybe this week he comes in here at 22-1 and finishes the job. So I know it's kind of a chalk-heavy card here for me with Morikawa, Hovland, and McIlroy. But it's a hell of a field, man. And I think there's good cases for all these guys.
Well, dude, and this is the thing. This is the event where you can play a card like that. I mean, look, listen, if you did this on any other tour event, or to be honest, even in or around the majors, I mean, let's just remember these 3 guys, and let's go to Augusta and see what their numbers are. I bet they're all lower than they are right now. So that speaks to it. And listen, Rory looked really good earlier this week. He looked a little mentally exhausted after the tournament, but he's a guy that can sort of jump up when you least expect it. And our guy Vic, I believe, with a win this weekend, can be the number one player in the world. So
that's how well he's been playing lately. Yes,
exactly. I mean, he is right there right now. And I'm just looking. You mentioned 2019 for Rory. He won the event in 2019, and Tommy was 5th. So maybe we can get a little magic for the Euros, taking it back to 2019 before the whole world went to shit.
Before we wrap, just John Rahm's a favorite at 13-1, Justin Thomas 15-1, and then you get to Morikawa and Hovland and Cantlay and McIlroy and Koepka. So a lot of our guys are up there. Did you think at all for a second about Rahm? Hasn't been putting well lately, I don't think. And did you think at all about Thomas or Rahm, just to wrap up the Players' Championship discussion?
I mean, listen, I could never hit both. Like when it came down to it, to me, when I look at that group of, sort of the top 5 or the guys that were 20 or under, I was only going to pick one of them. And I like Morikawa the best. I mean, I could give you a ton of reasons why. Listen, if Justin Thomas is holding the trophy or John Rahm is holding the trophy, I'm not going to be sitting there with my jaw on the floor. But I just think that, certainly with the number, and now that Morikawa's moved to 17, I think that's where the value is. And by the way, we should quickly mention and give a shout out to Scotty Scheffler. The timing wasn't great because we were both on Scheffler earlier in the season. He'd never won a PGA Tour event. I was at the Ryder Cup. He was phenomenal in that. And now he's won twice in the last 3 weeks. And, they got a 29 hung on Scheffler going into this event as well. I think it's pretty tough to make it 3 and 4. But he is great. And just a couple other numbers that stick out, folks. As I said, go to CoolBet. As of right now, we didn't have it yesterday, but the top 5s, top 10s, top 20s are all out there. Maybe we'll do a little tweet later on tomorrow with a few more additional bets because this is such a fun tournament to watch. But there are some numbers that really, really do stand out. I mean, Tony Finau at 79-1. I know Tony hasn't been great this year, but I think you'd probably be surprised to hear that there may be a small sprinkle on Tony as well, despite not being the official picks this week. And then the number that just still is sort of hard to believe is Dustin Johnson at 39-1. And DJ,
I'll be on that for sure.
Dude, DJ, can just sort of, show up from whatever he's doing, pick up a golf club and play with anybody. So he's also the big game hunter where he likes the big checks. So listen, that number is wild to me. But it doesn't surprise me that when Brooks and DJ were both in the 30s, mid to high 30s, it doesn't at all surprise me that where the action's been has been coming in on Brooks as opposed to DJ. But I'll tell you what, if DJ wins this tournament, there's going to be a lot of people kicking themselves that they didn't get on him at the biggest. Like, I don't know when the last time Dustin Johnson would have had.
You're not getting him at 39-1 in these types of events, buddy. Like, it's just
5 years. No. Any event.
Yeah.
Any event. Like, when was the last time Dustin Johnson in anything was 39-1? It's a long time ago.
Long time. We're talking like a decade, buddy. Like, that's going back quite a ways. That's good. Hey, Huss, before we wrap up the lock shop, we got breaking news here. We started talking about the NFL with Aaron Rodgers. Russell Wilson has been traded to the Denver Broncos. That just came down. Pelissero had it. Schefter had it. I do not see. Here's Pelissero. Russell Wilson to Denver for a massive haul, including multiple first-round picks, plus additional picks and players. So that came out like literally a minute and a half ago, buddy. I'm not seeing like exactly how many picks or anything yet, but your thoughts on Russell Wilson to the Broncos?
Not scared at all. Welcome to the AFC West, Russell. If you thought that, the NFC West was really tough with the defenses you had to play, wait till you see the quarterbacks that are on the other side of the football. Justin Herbert, no slouch, and you got Patrick Mahomes, who will be ready to prove himself and get the Chiefs back to where they expect to be, and that is the Super Bowl. Tell you what, this is those two Western divisions in the NFL are the toughest neighborhoods in football right now. And I guess I shouldn't be too surprised that something like this did happen. The fact that Aaron Rodgers signed his extension and finally put the drama to rest today. Denver had always been the team that they thought was going to go. And listen, I don't blame Rodgers for not wanting any of that AFC West smoke at all. he can enjoy beating up on the Bears and the Lions and the Vikings for the next 4 years and make the playoffs every year. But for Russell Wilson, I mean, a lot of pressure on him going in there too. I mean, that's not by no means guaranteed of even being in a playoff team, to be honest, with everything else that they've got. And I haven't seen, as I said, you just sort of rattle.
I can't wait to see the official haul. I want to see how many picks and players and exactly what ends up happening. So, I mean, Russell Wilson ain't no spring chicken anymore. I mean, you're hoping that he can put together something good here in the second half of his career. So, I mean, you can probably dabble in that a little bit on Winnipeg Sports Talk today. Congratulations, Huss. 1 year for Winnipeg Sports Talk today, buddy. That is an amazing feat. How do you celebrate today? What's coming up?
Well, you know what? Actually, Frank Cervelli's going to pop by the program. Little special guest for a big day. Lots, around the Winnipeg Jets and the upcoming trade deadline. So Frank will join us. One of our favorites, Jeff Hamilton, jumping on as well. And we will definitely have to get into this Russell Wilson trade as the afternoon continues with some more details on what's going from Denver to Seattle. And, man, what does this mean for Pete Carroll going forward? Who's going to be their quarterback next year? I mean, is it Geno Smith time in Seattle? Oh, God, Seahawks fans must be choked right now.
We'll get to that return. Obviously, I'll be talking about tomorrow on my show. Make sure you subscribe to Winnipeg Sports Talk with Huss. Check it out on YouTube. It's going to be coming up here right away. Well, another episode of The Lock Shop on Thursday. Who knows? Maybe we'll have updated NFL Super Bowl odds, and then we can dive into on Friday. Sorry, I said Thursday. On Friday, we'll be back with a new episode. Might have to bang some of those out, right? They got to be somewhere.
I bet we will. We will. And you see what they are today as opposed to what they are on Friday. That'll be good. And players update. By the way, for you folks that are into the golf and getting into the Players Championship is the one event right now where you can watch every shot from every golfer all game. This is the future of golf as they're getting more into betting. Actually, Golf Channel last night did a big thing on betting in golf, the history of it, and how it's a big part of the engine driving the sport forward financially. So check it out. I can't remember what the service is called again, but if you go to the Players Canada, that'll take you there. You want to get 8 screens up and just watch all your guys or your 6 guys on your DraftKings team at the same time, you'll be able to do it. And now hopefully this is a sign of things to come for the way we watch golf tournaments in the future.
Yeah, Calvin Ridley's on Daniel Berger at plus 3,400. Yeah, he likes that today. Hustle, talk to you Friday, buddy. We'll see you later.
Thanks, Dusty.